Hi Bob, this video is here to help you make a character in Star Trek Online. The intention is to help make you informed from day one so that you don't feel like you made a mistake when you started playing. Now, free-to-play accounts initially have access to one character slot for Federation faction character and one character slot for a Klingon faction character once you've unlocked it. Seeing as what I'm going to talk about applies to both factions, I'll just focus on the Federation for now. So when you go in to create a new character, you have a choice right away as to your preferred career path, engineering, science, or tactical. And as you select each option, they give you a thing over here to give you a little bit of information as to the role of each one. I'd like to explain a little bit more about what each of these paths get access to over time. Now, each of these paths can perform any of the traditional online role-playing game roles in space to varying levels of success. Really depends on the ship you're using, the variety of your bridge officer skills, and a whole bunch of other stuff. On the ground, though, you're pretty pigeonholed into DPS, either DPS tanking with a tactical officer, tanking support with an engineer, or the healing, debuffing, buffing. I'm sure there are ways around all of these things, though. Each career path has inherent skills, and they each get some for use in space and for some use for use on the ground. So yeah, there's two different combat environments in the game, and you need to be ready for both of those. I'm going to talk about the kinds of skills you have access to in each of these career paths. I'm not going to go super in-depth here because you can research more if you'd like. Also, you will eventually have all the skills inherent to your path because they're awarded and improve as you level up your character. I'd like to note that there are abilities that every path has access to, and I'm not going to cover those because they aren't relevant to the decision of which one you get, or which one you want to choose. So first we're going to cover the engineer. Engineers in space come with a pair of self-heals. One is rotate shield frequency, where you get extra shield regeneration and damage resistance. The other one is Miracle Worker, where you get a big hull and shield heal with the ability to restore some of your disabled subsystems. They also get some power management skills with EPS power transfer that improves your power recharge rates and gives a boost to your power, and Nadion inversion, which improves your resistance to all forms of power draining. Engineers on the ground come with a personal shield self-heal called Reroute Power to Shields, where they pull out their tricorder and they reroute the power from the tricorder to their personal shield generator. It's pretty interesting. They also can summon a piece of hardcover called Cover Shield. They can beam in a drone that helps out your team called Support Drone Fabrication. In fact, I think it's the orange one, the yellow one right here. And they can call in an attack from their ship called Orbital Strike. So all engineers get those abilities as they level up. Science officers in space come with a pair of debuffs. One is called Sensor Sweep, which sweeps an area and reduces the damage resistances and stealth of the enemy ships while increasing the user's perception. And Subnucleonic Beam, where you shoot a single target and it removes all their buffs, depending, and increases all their recharge timers. So it really just screws somebody over. They also get a short-range area buff in something called Scattering Field, where it gives a boost to damage resistance for you and your friends versus energy weapons. And you get the ability to summon a small number of holographic ships to fight on your behalf, called Photonic Fleet. On the ground, science officers come with a trio of debuffs, one called Tricorder Scan. It's the same as Sensor Sweep, just used on the ground. Dampening Field, which is an area effect that reduces energy weapon output by your enemies. And Nanoprobe Infestation, where you initially target one guy, and it bounces from enemy to enemy, and it magnifies the amount of damage they take. And they also get a way to shed a little aggro with an ability called Neural Neutralizer. Tactical officers in space come with a pair of self-buffs called, one is called Attack Pattern Alpha, where it increases his damage, critical chance, and damage, and maneuverability. Go Down Fighting is the other one, where it is a scaled damage buff. They do more damage the fewer their hit points. It's very helpful sometimes. They get a debuff called Fire on My Mark. What it does is you put it on a single enemy and it lowers their damage resistance, so that obviously it makes it more attractive for everyone to shoot that guy. And they also get the ability to reduce the recharge timers on all of their tactical bridge officer skills, and this one's called Tactical Initiative. On the ground, tactical officers come with a buff called Target Optics. It increases their damage, critical hits, chance, and damage against the enemies they hit with it. They also get the Fire on My Mark debuff. It's the same as the space version. They get a way to another way to reduce recharge timers, but on all of your friends' special abilities, called Tactical Initiative as well, and the ability to summon a few red shirts to help fight, called Security Escort. Late in the game, each of your career paths get a pair of buffs, one for space and one for the ground, and they apply to you and the rest of your team. They each do something different based on the path you choose. For example, the engineering officer gets a pair of buffs that primarily increase your damage resistance. The science officer gets buffs that primarily improve your movement abilities. And the tactical officer gets buffs that primarily improve damage. I'm really glossing over them here, but that's essentially what they do. Now, you'll have access to other abilities either through your bridge officers in space or your equipment on the ground, but essentially these are the abilities you'll always have to work with if you choose a particular path. If you'd like more details as to the abilities of each of these career paths that each of these career paths gain as they level up, I highly recommend checking out the Star Trek Online wiki. I'll put a link to it in the description. Many of these abilities are very self-explanatory, and in fact, the link I'll put will specifically lead you to the or the career ability page. So I hope that helps with your choice of career path. I know it wasn't all that fascinating, but really it's just an overview of what you can expect by choosing each of these careers in Star Trek Online. Next time I'm intending on talking about the traits you choose when you create your character. So that's going to be significantly longer, and it's probably going to be just as boring.